Hi, my name's Sierra, and this is Let's Talk About It. So today, where things are going to look a little bit different, I'm starting a new segment. Not changing the whole show, it's just an add-on. But I'm doing something called Stories for the People. And the purpose is, I think stories is power, and it's interview style. So I'll be off camera and I'll be asking questions, and somebody will basically just be answering my interview questions. So today, I'm a good friend, Amba. I'm just gonna talk to her about her experience in the Black community. She's a white friend that decided to hang out with a bunch of sisters and brothers, and I just love her perspective. Also, fun fact, she's the editor of the show. So if all y'all people that are a little worried, it goes through white ears first. Any hoodle. Talk to you later. Enjoy.
So where I'm from is actually a small town just south of Tulsa, and it is not diverse at all. I would say we're maybe 98% white, but I was exposed to some people of color because of my mom and her friends. She's just friends with a lot of different people. But other than that, I didn't have a lot of people of color that were my age around growing up. I personally wasn't hesitant to befriend people of color or people in the Black community because I just see them as people, just like me. I did realize going into some friendships that there was some things that we'll have to overcome. It's not just as easy as being with someone who has the same cultural background as you do, but I would definitely say it was no problem for me. I was, more than happy to become friends with the people that are my friends today. I do not like the phrase colorblind, personally. I have heard that phrase, and I've even heard that phrase applied to someone like me. I don't think that you can honestly say you're colorblind because obviously you see people of color, and if you say you're colorblind, you're not overlooking their color, you're overlooking who they are because of their color. And so I would not use that phrase personally, and I would strongly advise other people not to use it. So ally wasn't a phrase that I was familiar with until actually pretty recently, because it wasn't something that I was seeking out to do. It was something that just kind of happened. So I actually prayed to the Lord before I came to Kansas City 4 years ago, and I asked him what my calling was. And he told me that my calling was to love people who are different than me. And at the time, I did not know that that would mean Black people. I was actually in Bolivia, and I kind of just assumed that he was talking about Bolivian people, because they're different than me too, But when I came to Kansas City, the first place that I lived, I had 2 Black roommates, and they became 2 of my closest friends. And immediately, just showed me, real friendship, real sisterhood. And from that, I became an ally, not through bringing up these conversations, but through relationship. I just got to know them as people. I got to see them doing life and how it was different than the way that I do life day in and day out. And from that, there is a unique brotherhood, sisterhood in the Black community. And so because I lived with them, I got to know other Black people because they would start coming to our house and we had dinners. And so I would really say that becoming an ally is not seeking out to find, information to make it sound like you're woke. I would say becoming an ally is about relationship. It's about getting to know Black people, as human beings, and caring for them. I think that's what being an ally is. The first one is hair. The hair. Oh my gosh. I was in for an awakening with the hair. I did not know what Black people go through with their hair. Honestly, I just didn't pay attention before. I didn't realize that if you saw a Black person with straight hair, it's because they relaxed it or straightened it. I just thought they have
a wig.
Yeah, or have a wig or a weave. I was just oh, that's just their hair. That's cool. And the curls, the curl pattern types, all that, the difference between braids and twists, whoo. And just the work that goes into washing your hair and moisturizing your hair. And listen, y'all, I tried to get hair advice. Look at my hair. I tried to get hair advice from my black roommate, Amber, you know I'm talking about you. And she told me to put coconut oil in it and all this other stuff, and it was bad. Don't do that, okay? But I just didn't realize that the hair was such a big part of the culture. Like, it's not just like, you know, it's not just a nuance. It's like, it's actually a thing, like, and it matters, and I think it's beautiful. Like, I've sat and watched my sister braid another sister's hair and just like seen the relationship behind it and how sweet it is. I remember, I didn't ask it, my friend asked it while we were sitting at the dining room table. My roommate Mary at the time, she had a Walmart bag on her head. And my friend was like, why is there a bag on your head? And Mary was like, oh, good question. I'm deep conditioning my hair. I was like, oh, see, I didn't know. So I still get corrected all the time, the difference between braids and twists and right things to say and wrong things to say, but you know, that was big for me, and I think that's something I'm still learning about. There's still moments where I slip up, you know, my friends feel like family, so I just be saying things sometimes without thinking that much, and there's been a lot of moments where I've said offensive things on accident, and when that happens, I'm really grateful that my friends are not afraid to say something, that they feel comfortable to just let me know, especially because if I say it to them, it's safe, but if I say it to somebody else, thinking that it's okay, then, you know, who knows what could happen. So they help me out by like pointing it out, and I just take it as a learning opportunity because, you know, I want to keep learning about the culture. I want to keep learning about my friends and their lives and how it's different from mine and what I can learn from that to like better be a friend for them. Honestly, you probably will feel that way until you actually get to know people of color. Like, it's not gonna go away just because you've read stuff and you think you understand stuff. You won't really be, like, woke until you actually woke. Till you actually get in the black community and mess up, say some wrong things, get corrected, because it still happens to me. You grow from that and you go from there. But it all starts with relationship. Like, you don't want to be saying these crazy things that you think you understand. Like, I heard somebody recently, like, this white girl started talking to my friend about her hair and like saying sister locks and how some about Rastafarians and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, honey, because she just wanted to sound like she knew something. And I'm like, you know, it's better to just not say anything if you don't know the person. But in terms of like relationship, you want to feel comfortable and like safe to mess up and to receive correction from your friends. And if you don't feel comfortable receiving that correction, then I would say just don't say anything about it, because you might say something wrong. It's just life. I'm not saying you can't ever say anything. If you genuinely want to know about someone's head wrap or, you know, whatever it is, and you want to ask, like, you have freedom to ask. But just know when you're talking about these things that this is personal and this is cultural. It's not just like something that black people do that's cool. I'm so tired of seeing white people imitating black people because they think it's cool. It is actually part of black culture, and if you're wrong, you need to accept that and realize that, like, you know, you came into this with a question, but like, be ready to be corrected if it's necessary. I actually just had a conversation with my brother about this today, that white privilege is definitely a thing. It is. There are also other privileges, such as wealth and mental health and physical health, and all of those things are all privilege. But it seems to be, and it seems to be because of a long line of history, that African Americans typically don't have the same privileges that white people do in all of those areas. I have experienced white privilege in some ways, like in my life, but especially I recently had a dream that really helped me to see the privilege that I have personally as a white person that I can use to help the black community. And so I had this dream that a leader in the school that I'm a part of was hosting a dinner for the students, and there was only 2 black students in the room and everyone else was white. And the leader made a comment that white privilege doesn't exist or it's not that bad. And the undertone of that comment was pretty like hurtful because it made it sound like she valued the black students in the school less. And when she said that, the 2 black people in the room got so mad and they left. Nobody responded. None of the white people got up and said anything or like spoke up, and I was infuriated. Like and sitting in my seat, I was like, I can't believe she just said that. So I stood up and I started yelling. I was like basically saying like, you don't even talk to black people about this. You're getting this perspective from other white people, and just like going off. And so that was not a pretty side of me to see. But in terms of the point of the dream is I left after that, after I went off on the leader, and I went to the house where the 2 black people were. And I was just consoling them and comforting them and like telling them that like I still see their value and like that they, you know, that shouldn't have ever happened. And as I'm sitting there, the house begins to fill up with more and more white people. And the people from the dinner were leaving because once I stood up and said something, they realized that something wasn't right. And then they decided to hear my voice as a white person and decided to stand with the other black students. When that happened, I realized like, wow, like there is a difference between, and I don't wish that it was this way, but it is. Like there is a difference between a black person sharing their pain and a white person advocating for black people. And when I did that, like there was a change. Like when the 2 black students left, nobody cared. Nobody had anything to say. But when I advocated for them and said something that it wasn't okay, then everyone else saw it and decided to take side with those students. And so to me, like, white privilege does exist, and it exists largely in like how you're received and how people respond to what you say. And I hope that I am able to, you know, use the privilege that I have in a way that's actually beneficial to the black community.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
I really love that so much of what you emphasize is relationship. Like, we make this sound like it's like this puzzle we have to figure out, but it's not. It's just engaging in relationship, listening, learning.
It really
it's
is.
not that hard. Amber in particular, I love you a little extra.
Oh.
Because I feel like she's just so open to learn and open to correction, to be honest. Like she really puts herself in positions just to listen, and I think that's really the key. So
Thanks, Sierra. I love you too.
Oh. All right, well, we're gonna close out. Like, subscribe, whatever you gotta do to, whatever. So, love you. Bye.
Bye.